Steve Morales here, and today I have an upper body workout for you utilizing a suspension trainer. Now here I have the G-strap suspension trainer. I got this off Amazon. It's about 50 bucks. There are different versions of it too, so there are some cheaper ones and some more expensive ones. I'm super happy with the product though. This one reminds me of the exact same build and quality of the first TRX. Some of the brackets are actually, they look identical. So the build itself and the quality of the material is really, really good. Make sure that when you do anchor this, if you have one, right, you want to anchor it to the inside part of the door. If we go to the outside part of whatever door you're going to utilize, you might actually break the bracket off inside here. So just to make sure it's secure, make sure it's on the inside here, okay? So we're going to go into 3 separate groups. And for the first group, we're going to do push-ups with the suspension trainer, and then you're going to do flies. And it's 10 reps on each, and you're going to do 4 rounds. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to show you what I'm looking for with it. I'm going to go through it, but I'm going to speed all of that up. And then we'll get to the next part, and then we'll continue until we run through everything. We will be utilizing some MoveNat exercises in this also. We're going to be doing an inverted crawl and a hand-foot crawl. So I'll cover some of the mechanics with that also at the end so you know what that is. So with this, the cool thing is you get to scale this however you see fit, okay? So if you want to make it easier with this, with the push-up, so for the push-up here, if I want to make this easier, I would move up. At a certain extent though, like I can't really do a push-up here because I can't even fully extend my arms without being pushed back. But the further down I go, okay, keeping my hips down, the harder this is going to be, okay? For the first round, I say ease into it, so I say start at a point that's maybe a little bit easier initially, just so you kind of warm up and get used to the movement, and then you can progress from there, and you can make it harder. Now for the second round, I want you to start at the hardest point that you can start at, and then slowly work your way up if you need to make it easier on yourself. Essentially, instead of stopping, is usually what I'll see, just if I'm way back here and it's too much and I go down and I just can't do it, move yourself up a little bit so that you can do the push-up and you can actually still do it, okay? So we'll start here, make it a little bit easier. I'm going to put my hands in a position so that they're slightly up. If my hands are down here and I go down, that's going to rub on my arms the whole time. It doesn't feel good. You're going to give yourself essentially a rug burn. So if my arms are here, I'll raise them up just a little bit. I turn them just ever so slightly. And then I come down, I stretch out, and then I push up like this. I squeeze my chest at the top, so every time I come to the top, I want to flex my chest as much as possible. You don't want to over grip these handles, because we're not trying to work your arms, we're trying to work your chest. What it should feel like is essentially when I come down here like this, it should feel like my chest is stretching out, and then I come up and I squeeze my chest really, really tight, okay? So, stretch, squeeze, stretch, squeeze. Okay? You don't have to keep your palms open. Just be conscious of the grip that you're utilizing for this. Okay? We'll do 3 more. 1, squeeze. 2, squeeze. 3, squeeze. Okay. Now my arm's going to be in a similar position for the flies. Okay? I'm going to move this out just a smidge. They're going to be in a similar position for the flies. Okay? I'm going to start here. I don't want them down like this because then they'll rub on my arms as I come out, right? So they're just up just slightly. Elbow pits, okay? Right here. Face kind of towards each other, okay? They shouldn't face straight up like that because that means you've actually rotated your femoral head, the bone part of your shoulder. You've rotated it and it's not going to be stable like that, okay? So our elbow pits face towards each other. So do my wrists right here, okay? They face, so all that is in alignment. So I'm here, I stretch out. It's like hugging a tree. I stretch, and then I come in and I squeeze really, really tight. So I stretch, and then I come in and I squeeze, okay? Stretch out, and that's what it essentially was what it should feel like. It should feel like you're just doing a pec stretch, okay? And then squeeze. So kind of think towards your armpit is what you're gonna feel, all right? Stretch, up, squeeze, stretch, squeeze. There we go. Same thing, and if I want more tension, I can scoot this back. Make the adjustments with the straps as needed also, so that you have enough room. 2 more. So I can make this Last one, up, squeeze. So with these, I can make these longer to give myself more room so that I can scoop back my feet more and leverage my weight so that I actually have more weight on the muscle now, okay? So that was the first round. In between each round, I want you to just pec stretch, right? Stretch out your chest, stretch, tricep stretch like this. Give yourself about 45 seconds to a minute, and then you'll start the next round, okay? So what I'm gonna do for this is I'm actually just going to speed through all of this now. So you're just gonna see all of a sudden it goes crazy, crazy fast. I'm gonna speed through this so that we can get to the next part, okay? Quick tidbit, okay? We're gonna speed back up here in a second, but quick tidbit with this breathing pattern, okay? I didn't talk about that. I want to hammer on that real quick. As I go down, I'm gonna breathe in. Deep breath. Breathe out right here. Handful of reasons for that. One is I need oxygen. I'm about to perform something. My muscles need oxygen so that I can perform that movement, okay? The other part is it's going to, and we want deep belly breaths. We want intra-abdominal pressure. We want pressure on the inside of our stomach here. Diaphragmatic breathing is something you've heard for intra-abdominal pressure. But we want that pressure here so that it gives our lower back stability. I want to be flat like a line. If I come down here and I arch my lower back like that, I'm putting all the pressure on my lower back, okay? I want to stay flat, that deep breath in, and when I come down, you should feel your stomach working on this too, right? Same thing applies for the flies, okay? All right, we're going to speed back up. Alright, so that was our 4 rounds. I do want to mention, and I've done a video before on some of the upper body stretches that you can do with this. So if you haven't seen that, you can look at that for more than what I'm about to show you. But with this, you can actually pec stretch. It's the same exact position as the fly, except I'm going to have one foot forward, and it's going to be kind of leaning forward. Because I'm not trying to make the muscle work to lift me up or anything like that. This is passive. I'm relaxed. I'm just letting those armpits and that pec stretch out, okay? So utilize that with this if you want also as one of the stretches that you can do. So grab a drink, towel off, whatever you need to do, take a minute, and we're going to come back and we're going to go to the second group that we're going to work on, all right? All right, part 2. So this is going to be a little bit more focused on your triceps, back of the arm. So for this, you're going to just need a chair, all right? You're still going to use your suspension trainer right here, and then you're going to need some type of watch. I'm going to use my phone for this. And what we have are dips off of the chair. We have suspension trainer tricep extensions, okay? And they're going to do a push-up plank to finish it off. So let's start with the dips. And the reps for this, we're going to do 15 dips, 12 tricep extensions off of the G-strap there. And then we're going to do 30 seconds on the push-up plank, okay, which is essentially just holding the top position of a push-up. Make sure you scale all of these movements. So with the tricep or the dips right here, I want the edge of my palms on the edge of the chair. If my whole arm is on there and it's pushed back, you're going to put a lot of pressure on your wrist. If I put my edge there and it's secure, but it's just still the edge, all that weight can go down my forearm. Legs out here, we want to make sure we're on the heels. The scale is, the closer they are to my body, the less weight I'm essentially loading on my triceps. So I can scale with my feet here, okay? So we're going to go out like that. We're going to push the elbows back. We're going to go down, and then we'll extend up, okay? So 15, 2, 3, 4. I want to make sure my head is pulled up, and I'm not sinking down like this, okay? As you get more tired, just like with the movements we did earlier, you can scale this so I could slowly bring my feet in if I needed to. Because what will happen is you'll actually drift away from the chair and you'll start doing this. If you catch yourself doing that, your body's essentially just trying to leverage the weight to make it easier for you, okay? And one more. Boom. Good. So watch that. Keep an eye on your form, all right? And for this, we only have the 3 rounds. Then, tricep extensions here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put my arms out close to a 45-degree angle. I want to keep this part of my arm, right, my upper arm, not my forearm, but here at that line. It might move a little bit, but we don't want it to move much. Once I'm here, I'm essentially going to let my forearms and my hands fold all the way down until this is back by my ear. People have a tendency to stop here because they're falling forward. They'll stop here and then they'll push out like that because they're subconsciously scared that they might fall, right? It's not something that they're actively trying to do, just the brain doesn't want them to fall. So you want to just completely relax all the way back, as far back as you can. And then you just straighten your arm back out, okay? So 12 of these. So down, up. I always say it's kind of like throwing something towards like the upper, either your ceiling or like the corner of the room, all right? 3, 4. Same thing, I can scale if I need to. I can move back more. It's going to make it harder. And then as I progress through, I can move forward a little bit so I can keep going. At a certain point though, you're not going to have any room. One more. I'm not going to have any room. Like I can't go here. That goes up, right? I don't have anywhere to go with that. So you can scale to make it harder by moving back and by moving forward, but at a certain point, my arm is going to be pulled back. There's not going to be any tension to it, okay? And then the last one is that push-up plank. And like I said, all you're going to do is hold the upper part of a push-up. So get your clock here, and you can either do this wide grip like this or closed grip like this. If you do wide grip like this and you bend your elbows a little bit, it actually puts more tension on the pec if you can keep your arms relaxed. If I'm close grip like this, typically I'm not going to bend my elbows because if I do that, it's going to be more tension on my tricep and my front delt, the front part of my shoulder here, okay? But if I lock it out, I can squeeze my chest more. Your preference, and you can actually try both. For this, we're going to go 30 seconds, okay? So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to start this timer, I'm going to go through this, but I'm actually going to go ahead and speed everything up from here. I'm going to go through my 3 rounds on this. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your form. At the end of each round, take that 45 seconds to a minute. Stretch your triceps, shake out your arms, stretch your pec if you need to. Grab a drink, towel off, and then start again. And remember, there are 3 rounds on this, all right? Here we go. Quick tidbit on the push-up plank here. When you're tired, 2 things can happen. You'll either slouch your back like this or you're going to push your hips up in the air like that. Don't do that. If you get too tired, scale this and come down to your knees. This is still putting pressure on my chest if I focus on keeping my arms relaxed, okay? The other thing is we want to make sure that we're centered over the pec. If my hands are placed like this, right, it's no good. If they're way back here like this, no good for what we're trying to do for the pec, okay? A lot of times you're just putting more tension on the joint of the shoulder itself unless you have the musculature to actually hold something like that, okay? So it'll be to the detriment of your body when doing that. Make sure you don't sag your stomach also. When you're in a push-up plank, flex everything. Keep everything tight, right? Abs, glutes, all that flexed to stabilize your spine so that you don't slouch your back down or push your hips up or putting more tension on either your lower back or your shoulders, all right? Speed up. Okay, so that is part 2. We did our 3 rounds. We're going to move now, take a breather for a second, but we're going to move now to the last part where we're going to do our inverted Essentially, we're going to be doing an inverted crawl, but we're not going to be moving. We're just going to be lifting our arms and legs, and then we're going to do a hand-foot crawl. Okay. So take a breather for a second, towel off, and then move on to part 3. Okay, so this is the last part. You're going to do 2 rounds on this, okay? And for this, you're still going to need your phone, a watch, whatever, because you're going to do both of these for time. The first one, we're going to go 30 seconds. The second one will go for 45 seconds. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is an inverted crawl. We call that an inverted crawl and move. Now, what you most likely know it as is a crab walk. Except you're not actually going to walk with this. You're just going to hold a position. Now this is a contralateral pattern, so it's opposites moving together, okay, versus ipsilateral, where the same side would move together, okay, like this. And for this, essentially all you're going to do is lift offs. So what you're going to do, we're going to start our timer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to lift the opposite arm and foot up, and then we're going to go to the other side, okay, nice and controlled. I'm just lifting that out to my side. So what this does, it actually preps you, because then with this I would be moving forward, right? It just preps you for that. Some people can't move forward initially, so we work on these lift ups and being able to get that. It also reinforces the fact that opposites should move together, okay? So we'll just do this for time, 30 seconds. One more. Boom, good. So that was our 30 seconds on that. You're going to feel your triceps, you're going to feel your shoulders, you're going to feel your legs a little bit with those lift-offs, okay? And your abs too. So that was our 30 seconds on that. Next one, we're going to do a hand-foot crawl. So for this, and with that other one, if I needed to scale it, I might only be able to do a couple before I collapse and my butt hits the ground. That's okay, work into it, ease yourself into it. For the hand-foot crawl that we're going to do, if you can't do what I'm going to show you, you're essentially do crawling on all fours, okay? Now for this, a bear crawl is typically what you'd hear it called. We don't call it that. Animal Flow has a different variation on a bear crawl, which I consider a bear crawl, but this we just call a hand-foot crawl, okay? So we're going to be on all fours, and you're going to come up on your toes like this. We don't want the knees way up off the ground, okay? We don't want them like that, okay? Small distance from the ground. We want our elbow pits facing forward, hand is underneath the shoulder, knee is underneath the hip, and then opposites move together. You're going to do this for 45 seconds, going forward and backward. So you start the time here, and then we stride, opposites moving together, okay? Do a handful of strides, whatever distance you can manage in the room, and then you'll go backwards. Now going backwards is harder for most people, because what they'll do is they'll outstride with their foot. And when they do that, okay, they start going like this, there's nowhere for me to go eventually, and then it'll just make it so that I'm going to collapse. If that happens, square up again and start over. Try and stay very, very short and condensed for this movement, okay? I also don't want to bring my knee past my arm. I want a little bit of a gap on that, okay? Notice that spacing between my arm and my knee. And that was 45 seconds, okay? So, with that, if I needed to scale it, and you're just really doing a hand-knee crawl, where we're here, to get used to the pattern, that's completely okay. That's where you're at, okay? So don't worry about if you need to scale back on some of these. Make it so that it's appropriate for you right now, and then over time, you can work on that, and you can get stronger in those positions, and then slowly improve, okay? So, I'm going to speed this up. We've done the one round. Take a breather for a second, and then we're going to do the next one, all right? That is it, all right? Notice how out of breath you get the hand-foot crawl and just doing those lift-ups on the inverted crawl. Your shoulders should be on fire right now, okay? So we hit pec, tricep, we hit shoulders. Both of these movements here, and the move down movements, you're still hitting your, I mean, it's total body really. So we're hitting a lot. Your legs might be burnt out on those too, okay? So, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you like what you've seen, hit the subscribe button there. You can do this multiple times, right? You can go through this multiple times. And not just do it the one time, but do it every now and then as a measure for whether or not you've made improvements, especially if you've had to scale some of these. Work on some other movements, work on those movements, come back in a couple weeks, couple months, and see if you've improved, all right? So great job. I have no doubt that you did phenomenal, and I want to thank you so much again for watching.